The movie opens with a scene in black and white. A beautiful princess, adorned in an elegant ball gown and a majestic tiara, graciously poses for her adoring subjects at a lavish party. Her name's Miyuki, the tomboy princess of a fantastic realm. Miyuki is very brave and outspoken, and her dream is to go on an adventure away from her boring realm. She doesn't have parents, only a servant who takes care of her needs, and the animals in the forest. When the party is over, she complains that she's tired of all the pomp and fakeness of royal life. Her servant pleads for her to act like a proper princess, reminding her that she's to meet the king of a neighboring kingdom the very next day, hinting at the possibility of a political marriage. The last thing she wants is to be controlled by a boring man. She is as stubborn as she is beautiful, and she refuses to be subsided. When her servant leaves her be, the restlessness inside of her consumes her, compelling her to escape the castle again. It's not the first time she's gone wandering around the woods, but her guards always bring her back to the castle. As she ventures into the depths of the dark woods, she is intercepted by curious woodland animals, who question her motives for running away again. She openly reveals her unhappiness with the monotonous life within the castle walls, yearning for something more. The animals try to change her mind, knowing the dangers that lurk deep into the woods, but it's pointless. Miyuki is resolute in her desire of exploring life beyond the castle, and no one can stop her. Driven by their unwavering loyalty to the beautiful princess, the animals decide to accompany her on the adventure, acting as her guardians. As the group sets out on their journey, the camera shifts and it's possible to see that the princess's life's a movie called The Tomboy Princess and the Jolly Beasts. Inside the movie theater, a sparse audience occupies only a handful of seats. Once a beloved and widely acclaimed film, its popularity has waned over time, gradually losing the attention of the public in favor of newer movies. Without its popularity, the movie isn't profitable anymore, and so it's taken off the bill. It's only many years later that a young man named Kenji finds the dusty tape and decides to watch it again. Kenji is passionate about movies, and he's a frequent visitor at the local movie theater. He works as a director's assistant, and his dream is to make his own movie someday. Kenji doesn't know what to expect when he watches The Tomboy Princess and the Jolly Beasts for the first time, but he certainly doesn't expect to fall in love. From the very moment his eyes meet the enchanting eyes of the beautiful princess on the screen, the fabric of his existence is torn asunder. Years forward, in the future, a group of nurses gossip about a kind old man hospitalized in their session. One of the nurses feels sorry for the old man, because he's always alone. He has only one relative, a granddaughter, and she thinks she's a terrible person because she never helps the old man. They think the granddaughter is after the man's money, even though she visits the hospital every day to see him. The old man is Kenji. As the nurse takes care of him, a gust of wind suddenly invades the room, blowing away some weathered pages that belong to Kenji. When the nurse gathers them for him, she notices it's a movie script. Kenji explains that he wrote the script a long time ago, when he was still a young man. The nurse is eager for him to tell her the plot of the movie, and Kenji indulges her. The story is about a man who experienced a miracle. It all starts when Kenji worked as a director's assistant, always eager to please people and give his best. Kenji is responsible for painting the scenery in the movie set, amongst other things. As he's painting a beautiful view, the movie's main actor arrives, much to everyone's excitement. The man is very handsome, albeit arrogant. As he talks to the people about his view of the movie, Kenji accidentally bumps into a paint tin, and it falls on the actor. Kenji quickly falls to his knees and begs for the actor's forgiveness. The actor takes pity on him and brushes him off, much to Kenji's relief. If the actor didn't accept his apology, he could have been fired. After the accident, Kenji goes out with his closest friend, Shintaro, and the two of them meet a beautiful young woman. The girl's the director's daughter, and her name's Toko. Toko is shy, quiet, and polite to everyone, especially Kenji. She secretly harbors affection for her father's clueless assistant, and she hopes one day she will have the courage to confess. Kenji sees her as a good friend, nothing more. His heart already belongs to someone else, though he will never get to confess his feelings to her. After watching the movie once, Kenji fell head over heels for Princess Miyuki. It's not only her beauty that enchants him, but her tenacity, bravery, and willfulness. She's ahead of her time, a true icon. Shintaro knows of Kenji's obsession, and he finds it funny. He thinks his friend only has a crush on an actress, not knowing that it goes beyond that. Miyuki is all Kenji thinks about when he's not in the movie theater watching her. He wonders what it would be like to meet her in real life, or maybe go to her fantastic world. He's so obsessed that he goes to the movie theater every day to watch her movie. The movie theater's owner, Mr. Honda, noticing his obsession, informs him that he will sell the movie. It's the only copy left in the world, and someone wants to buy it. Kenji is desperate when he tells him. He doesn't know what his life will look like without his muse, Miyuki. He begs Mr. Honda to sell it to him, but he refuses. Kenji has no money to buy it anyway. The only thing Mr. Honda can do for him is to allow him to watch it one last time. As Kenji watches the movie with deep sadness, it's almost as if he's saying goodbye to a real person, not a character from a movie. In the last scene of the movie, as the princess is saying goodbye to the jolly beasts, the woodland animals hand her an amulet, which is also a flute. She promises them that she will return, and Kenji feels her words in his heart. The lights of the movie theater start going on and off, something Mr. Honda finds strange. The princess appears on the screen again, but this time, she looks straight towards Kenji before swiftly diverting her eyes. It's almost as if she can see him. A storm approaches outside, with thunder and lightning. Kenji raises his hand towards the screen while the princess looks at him again. The lights suddenly go out, leaving Kenji in complete darkness. He tries to find his way out, until he hears a moaning sound. He's not alone anymore. He is startled by the sound, and the bottle he was holding falls to the ground, making an thudding sound. It rolls until it bumps into a hand. Someone starts crawling through the corridor toward Kenji, but he can't see anything. All of a sudden, the lights go on again, and he finally can see who is there with him. It's the princess. She has some gashes on her face, and her tiara is lopsided. She looks nothing like the proper princess on the screen, always perfectly poised. Kenji jumps and falls on his butt, eyes wide open. He can't believe what he's seeing. It must be a mirage or a dream. The princess is still black and white, a strange contrast against the colors surrounding them. Thinking he's hallucinating, Kenji slowly tries to reach her, only for her to use his own bottle to hit him on the head. She commands him not to touch her again, and runs away. When she arrives in the movie theater's lounge, she can't believe all the colors surrounding her. They are so beautiful that she can't stop herself from touching them. Kenji goes after her, wondering if she's the ghost of the actress, but she denies it. She acts exactly like a princess, even going as far as seeing him as her subject. When Mr. Honda comes back, Kenji quickly takes her to the back entrance. Much to his surprise, he's not the only one who can see the black and white princess. She's wearing the same ball gown she wears in the movie, and it's ridiculous in the beat-up streets of his neighborhood. He knows people will notice there's something wrong. He tries hiding at least her face with his coat, but it's pointless. A police officer notices them, but before he can do anything, Miyuki hits him on the head. Kenji almost faints. The princess thinks she can do whatever she wants, just like she did in her movie, but she isn't in her world anymore. Kenji might get in trouble if she does something. It's a relief when they arrive at his humble abode. Miyuki is shocked to see that he resides in what she calls a dump. Kenji isn't rich, but he keeps himself comfortable. The apartment is very colorful, filled with pictures and even painted tins. Miyuki quickly forgets her astonishment with his poor house and starts exploring. Everything is so different from her world that she can't stop her curiosity. Kenji watches her with amazement, still not believing his luck. The woman he's madly in love with is suddenly right in front of him. It's almost too good to be true. He wonders why she left her world to come to his, and she explains that she was bored. Similar to her character, Miyuki is restless and easily bored. She wants to explore, and Kenji's world is the perfect place for it. She snidely announces that he's to be her servant from then on, and care for all her whims. Kenji wonders if he can't be a prince instead, but she refuses, throwing red paint in his face. There's nothing about him that would make him a prince. He's handsome enough, sure, but he's meek, shy, and a people pleaser. Perfect for a servant. Miyuki seems to know that she's part of a fantasy world. She's aware that people go to watch her for entertainment. In the beginning, she remembers the rooms were always filled with people. As time went by, fewer and fewer people showed up, until she was in the dark for a long time. Kenji, in a way, is her savior because he started watching the movie again, and it allowed her to escape. Now, after years trapped, she wants to know everything there is to know about his world. She demands that he takes her sightseeing the next day, but he has work and can't miss it. He explains that he helps make movies, like the one she came from. Miyuki is curious to know how they are made, and orders that he takes her there. When Kenji refuses, afraid of the repercussions if someone finds her, she throws yellow paint at him, and he relents. The next day, Kenji hides her in a handcart with a blanket. As they go around town, she watches everything with amazement. It's so colorful and bright, completely different from the constant darkness of her world. Even the sky has color. When they arrive at the set, Toko approaches Kenji with a soft smile. Kenji inwardly cringes, afraid that she'll notice something wrong with the blanket. Miyuki moves in the cart, and the blanket shifts. Toko thinks Kenji is carrying an animal with him and tries to see it, but Kenji rudely stops her. He quickly comes up with an excuse and leaves the poor girl behind, confused at his abruptness. Kenji takes Miyuki to a dressing room and states that she needs to change her clothes. She's still wearing the gown. There are many colorful clothes for her, and makeup. Miyuki loves the idea of looking more like a local, instead of a stranger. She dresses up in a pretty gown and applies makeup all over her body. When she appears again, Kenji is awestruck by her breathtaking beauty. She's not black and white anymore after wearing the makeup, and she fits right in. The only issue is that she acts like a princess and thinks everyone is her subject. While Kenji is busy working, she goes around causing mischief. First, she paints over his painting, which freaks him out. Luckily for them, the famous actor enjoys it, so the director doesn't complain. When the actor sees Miyuki, he's shocked by her beauty. He tries flirting with her, but it's pointless. She doesn't think he's anything special and turns her nose up at him. She punches him when she thinks he's too forward. It only gets worse as the day passes. She disrupts filming and punches another director. People wonder who the violent woman is, and Shintaro points out she's dating Kenji. The poor man has to pay for her behavior and gets the beating of his life. Whenever Miyuki goes, she causes mayhem. She takes dynamite and carelessly throws it away in a cauldron, causing a massive explosion that hurts the famous actor. Kenji ends up in the police station, accused of helping Miyuki blow up the set. He defends himself against the accusations, and they release him. At the end of the day, Kenji is exhausted. Miyuki follows him, but he tells her to stay away from him. The trouble she causes is not worth it, in his opinion. Kenji has always been a nice person, never one to stir trouble. It's shameful for him to take responsibility for Miyuki's careless acts. Miyuki is astounded by his anger. She feels bad, but she's not one to beg for forgiveness. She's a princess, after all. Instead, she demands he helps her find her amulet, and he refuses. She snidely informs him that she doesn't want him as her servant anymore. Kenji couldn't care less. Later on, it's pouring rain and Miyuki is trying to find her precious amulet. Kenji is still ruminating about his anger and is hurt by her casual dismissal of his feelings. When he realizes it's raining, though, he feels terrible that she's probably alone in the cold rain. Miyuki can't find her amulet anywhere. When Kenji arrives, she's soaking wet and looking lost. He hands her the umbrella and looks for the amulet. After a few minutes, he finds it, much to her relief. He apologizes for his behavior earlier, and Miyuki accepts, even though she's the one who should be apologizing to him. Instead of being humble, she assigns him as her servant again. Kenji can't believe her cheek, and starts laughing. She's truly one of a kind. If it were anybody else, she would probably be bowed, begging for his forgiveness. After they make peace, the rain stops, giving place to a radiant rainbow. It's the first time Moyuki is seeing the phenomenon. She's impressed by how beautiful everything in this world is. Kenji watches her amazement and explains that sometimes there are double rainbows too. They usually symbolize good luck and new beginnings. It's a very rare phenomenon, though. Miyuki wishes she could see it someday, and Kenji promises that they will watch it together. She smiles, trying hard not to show how pleased she is. Back to the future, the nurse mentions to older Kenji that his wife never appeared in the hospital. He looks sad for a moment, and the nurse feels bad for bringing it up. In his youth, the director offers all assistants an opportunity of getting a promotion. The idea came from Toko, and her father agreed to it. They will write a script for a love story, and the best one will direct the movie. Kenji and his friends are all excited. Kenji has no idea what he'll write about, but just thinking that he could finally become a director is good enough. What Kenji doesn't know is that the reason why Toko gave her father the idea is that she wants him to succeed. She thinks Kenji has the talent to be a good director someday. He only needs a shot. Kenji goes to the movie theater to tell Mr. Honda about the script, and the older man gives him an idea. Kenji decides to write his love story with Princess Miyuki. It's a fantastic story, and very romantic. The only issue is that it doesn't have an ending yet. Kenji goes back home and starts working on his script. Miyuki quickly gets bored in his apartment, and demands he takes her out. Kenji takes her to a park filled with flowers. He takes the moment to take pictures of her. She looks so beautiful in her dress and high heels. After the park, they go out to eat. Kenji feeds her some colorful shaved ice, and she loves it. Kenji is so happy his face hurts. Unbeknownst to him, Toko sees them together, and it breaks her heart. She immediately thinks they are a couple because of the way they were acting. When they go back home, Kenji uses their time together as inspiration to write. Later on, they go out to a fair at night, and Kenji pretends to be a prince. He offers her a rose on his knees, but she doesn't accept it. Kenji is embarrassed by her obvious rejection. As for Miyuki, she looks affected by his gesture, but something about it bothers her. The following days, they go out again. Kenji always brings his camera to take pictures of her. He's so in love that the words pour from him to his script. During one of their outings, Kenji points out to Miyuki that they haven't kissed or held hands yet. Miyuki doesn't say anything, and he's embarrassed once again. He doesn't know what she feels for him. She's confusing. Sometimes, her eyes soften when she looks at him. In others, she treats him as a mere servant and convenience. Miyuki notices her behavior is bothering Kenji, and decides to give him a small chance. She enters a cabin, and presses her lip against it. When Kenji approaches to kiss her, with his heart in his throat, she backs away and laughs. Kenji blushes, but finds her prank funny and laughs with her. They continue their stroll until they get to a bridge, and Miyuki challenges Kenji to walk on the rail with his eyes closed. Like a fool, he does as she asks and falls into the water. Miyuki is worried about him for the first time, which shows she's not completely indifferent to him. Later on, Kenji makes a bonfire to dry himself, and they talk. Miyuki is curious about his story. Kenji explains that it's about a shy boy who fell in love with a girl. One day, the girl tells the boy that he will be her servant. Miyuki's heart clenches painfully in her chest. Kenji's writing their story. He wants to make a movie about them and immortalize their relationship. He asks if she will allow it, and she agrees. She wonders about the ending, though, but he hasn't reached that part yet. He hopes it will be a happy ending. Back to the future, the nurse asks old Kenji what happened in the end, but he never finished it, because the girl had a secret. One day, while Miyuki waits for Kenji to finish working, she accidentally wets her hands. When she dries them, the makeup comes off, and she sees her gray skin underneath all the paint. It hurts to see that she's colorless too. With Kenji, she forgot who she really is, and where she came from. She could just be herself with him, and pretend she isn't from another world. It dawns on her that she has been living in a lie. To make things worse, Toko shows up to talk to her. She wants to know the nature of their relationship. Miyuki informs her that she and Kenji aren't lovers, only friends. While talking to Toko, she notices the color of her skin and becomes jealous. She's ashamed of her own lack of color and how she will never truly fit in. Toko is clueless about the turmoil going on inside the beautiful woman. Later on, Toko announces that Kenji won the best script and will direct his own movie. Kenji is bursting with happiness, though the director asks that he changes the ending. He wants a happy ending. Kenji is walking on cloud 9. He has the woman he loves next to him, and his dream of being a director is almost coming true. The only thing he needs is to make things official between him and Miyuki. He wants her as his wife. After work, he takes Miyuki to the woods to watch the fireflies. It's the perfect place for him to propose to her. While Miyuki stares at the fireflies in amazement, Kenji confesses that he wants to take her to many places. Seeing her smile and being happy is the best feeling in the world. He wants to cherish her for the rest of his life. He puts his hand in his pocket to grab something for her, and Miyuki feels dread. She can see where that is going. She can't allow him to ruin his life. There's something she must tell him first. To come to the colorful world, she made a deal. She would get the chance to change worlds, but she would never be able to touch anyone. If someone touches her, she disappears. For that reason, she can never truly be with Kenji. It wouldn't be fair to him. She's also in love with him and wants him to be happy. She doesn't see it's possible for him to be happy with her, not in the long run. Kenji is shocked and sad. His heart breaks for her. Once again, he wonders why she risked everything to come to their world. Her answer is the same as before: she was bored. This time, Kenji senses there's something else that she isn't telling him. When he presses her, she admits that just like he watched her, she watched him too. In the past, there were always many people watching her movie. When people stopped coming, she felt lonely. Then, she was hidden away for years. Kenji was her savior. She's deeply thankful to him, because he found her again. If it wasn't for him, she would be hidden away forever. Kenji tries to make her accept his feelings. He is sure they can be happy, even if he sacrifices a normal life to be with her. Miyuki disagrees. Not only is she black and white, she will never be able to touch him, or anybody else. The couple is heartbroken. Miyuki, like always, tries to downplay her feelings and walks away. Kenji can only watch. The days after their talk and confessions are bleak and very depressing. Kenji can't write a happy ending for his story, because there isn't one. Toko notices he's sad and worries about him. Later on, when Kenji arrives home, he sees Miyuki on the ground and offers to help her. She refuses, afraid that he will touch her accidentally. Kenji is very upset with the whole situation. Toko is the only one worrying about his mental state, and decides to talk to him. They have a drink together and get drunk. With liquid courage running through her veins, Toko confesses to Kenji her feelings. She loves him, but Kenji can't love her back. He doesn't give her a straight-up answer. Instead, he goes back to work. Meanwhile, Miyuki is at home alone and finds a box inside Kenji's pocket. There's a beautiful engagement ring inside. She wants to cry when she touches it. Kenji truly was going to propose to her. With her heart pounding painfully in her chest, Miyuki makes a decision. She runs after Kenji until she arrives at the movie set. There, she tries to look for him everywhere. When she finally finds him, she overhears Kenji talking to Shintaro about Toko and her. He's confused about what decision to make. Feeling her heart breaking, Miyuki decides for him. She will leave him. She sadly goes back to his house, packs her bags, and leaves. Kenji finds her on the way and wonders what she's doing. She wears her armor again and tells him that she won't be with him anymore. She's tired of his anxiety and how he's always walking on eggshells around her. Hearing her hurtful words is the nail in the coffin for Kenji. He allows her to leave without a backward glance. Later on, Kenji is depressed in his home. Miyuki finds a place to stay with Mr. Honda at the movie theater. When she wonders why he's being so generous to her, he explains that he knows who she is. Long ago, he was in the same situation as Kenji. He fell in love with a movie character, and they decided to be together. Sadly, one day his wife simply disappeared without a trace. He never found out what happened to her, and he could never marry again. Miyuki feels worse. She doesn't want Kenji to have the same fate as Mr. Honda. It would be painful for him to love her wholeheartedly, only to lose her for the stupidest cause. She refuses to put him through that. She must stay away. The following day, the famous actor mentions to Kenji that he saw his girlfriend leaving, and that she looked sad. He thinks Kenji should go after her and treat her well. Meanwhile, Miyuki watches romantic movies and suffers. One day, she goes back to the place where they saw the rainbow together, and surprisingly there's a double rainbow in the sky. She remembers what Kenji said about double rainbows granting a wish, making her own. Kenji desperately goes after her. He decided that he can't live without her. He goes to the place where he found her amulet, but she isn't there anymore. Unbeknownst to him, Miyuki decided to let someone touch her. She thinks it would be easier for both of them if she disappears. Later on, Kenji shows up at the movie theater, and the owner tells him that she's there, but she doesn't want to see him. Meanwhile, Toko reads Kenji's screenplay and cries. The love story is very sad, and she knows it's about him and Miyuki. Her phone rings, and it's Miyuki. In the next scene, Miyuki is watching another romantic movie and feeling sorry for herself. Early on that day, she decided to meet with Toko to give her pointers on how to make Kenji fall for her. She wants Toko to be there for him when she eventually disappears. Mr. Honda sees her looking sad, and advises that it's not good to live in fantasy. She needs to face reality, whether it's good or not. Toko decides to confront Kenji about his feelings once and for all. She wants to know if she has a chance or not. They talk a bit, and Kenji admits that he's in love with Miyuki. Toko sadly understands that she will never be heard, not even if Miyuki disappears. Toko admits to Kenji that Miyuki met with her, in his name. She wanted Toko to be there for Kenji when the time came. Kenji starts crying, feeling his heart breaking in two. After his talk with Toko, Kenji makes a decision. He doesn't want to live without Miyuki, and he will show it to her. He doesn't care if he can never touch her or kiss her. Her mere presence is enough for him. Hearing the sound of her voice and her laughter is enough. He goes back to the movie theater and meets her again. He confesses to Miyuki his undying love, and that he wants to be with her, no matter what. Miyuki still thinks he's being foolish, but she wants him to grant her at least one wish. She wants him to touch her, for the first and last time. As Kenji approaches her with a hand on her face, the scene changes to the future. The nurse is crying over the sad story and wondering what happens. Kenji explains that since the movie was never made, he never ended it. A woman arrives at the hospital, and the nurse thinks it's his granddaughter. It's Miyuki. She looks as young and fresh as she did when Kenji saw her for the first time. While Kenji got older, she remained the same. The nurses think she's a mean granddaughter because she doesn't help him, but only because she can't touch him. Kenji informs her that he wants to finish his screenplay. She replies that she loves happy endings. There's a flashback of their life together, from the moment young Kenji refused to touch her for the last time at the movie theater to their moments together over the years. Kenji never became a director. After Mr. Honda passed away, he took care of the movie theater with Miyuki. They lived a simple but happy life. He always took her to beautiful places, and she always took care of him in her own way. Their love was deep and boundless. They could never touch each other, but that didn't diminish what they felt. Years later, when Kenji was already old, the movie theater also closed. Moving on, Miyuki's phone rings while she's alone at home, reminiscing the past through the many pictures they took. It's the hospital. Kenji isn't well. She runs there, fearing that he's going to pass away without her. Thankfully, he's still alive when she arrives. Seeing him lying so motionless makes tears pour from Miyuki's eyes. It's a bittersweet feeling, knowing that she got to live for so long with him, but not fully. Miyuki thanks him for everything he has ever done for her, for his love and devotion, for never giving up on her, even when she was ready to give up on herself, for persevering until the end with her. Knowing her husband will pass away at any minute, Miyuki decides it's time for her to go too. But not before she can touch him for the first time. She takes his old, weathered hand in hers, feeling its warmth. She hugs his bony chest, hearing the sound of his weak heartbeat. With a smile on her face, Miyuki slowly fades away, and Kenji soon follows. When the nurse goes to check on Kenji the next day, she sees he's not there anymore. She notices that he finished his screenplay after all, and reads it. In the end, Miyuki goes back to her realm, but Kenji and many of their friends follow. She waits for him on her throne, a princess waiting for her prince. Kenji offers her a rose, the only object in the scene that has color. When Miyuki accepts it, the whole world becomes colorful. Everyone stares in amazement. Miyuki turns to Kenji, waiting for his kiss. Without hesitation, he kisses her for the first time.